while I loved teaching prenatal while I was pregnant, and I just loved the whole vibe and the whole way that we slow down and we start taking care of ourselves and listening inward in a whole new way. I didn't feel that it actually prepared me for being a mom. And I really felt that this was something lacking for many of us, and potentially adding to, the crisis in maternal health and postpartum depression and blues in the US. So my yoga is really all about the entire journey and the way in which we can use pregnancy, not just to prepare for labor, but really to step into who we want to be as a mom. And Rachel at that time was with me, and we were just a couple people in a studio in Los Angeles. And at some point, we then decided to spread out and create little, what we call Ma circles in different neighborhoods. And eventually, Melanie signed on. Melanie hadn't ever taken a regular yoga teacher training, but she had a Ma circle and it was thriving and everything. And eventually she added the regular training. And then they started teaching with me online for the Ma Yoga Prenatal Certification Program. So they teach the yoga of birth, and it is a 3-week program that is really both a comprehensive birth prep class. So it's evidence-based. It's all about the pros and cons of all the choices. But it's also obviously through the filter of yoga. So it's just full of love and magic and gushiness. And this is what they've opened my eyes to in terms of what labor can really be for people. So with that said, here they are, and enjoy.
Hi, welcome, Jessica. That was really beautiful. I just wanted to say that these 5 sacred steps that she co-created and gifted us, I've watched her use all of them, not only to birth her own and raise her own now adult child, but to birth my yoga and to stay in the number one, which is to be into that receptivity and finding that feminine. So what do you do when your business closes? When you've got students, you just sit in silence within yourself, open yourself to your breath, to that essential flow, the spaciousness, the nurturing wisdom inside of yourself, and the support of your community, and you co-create, and you follow more deeply and connect to your bliss, to your purpose, to your peace. And she just continually co-creates more and more and more and more through these principles and through the strength within herself and in her own body and what she teaches, and then through play, because we all need to play, and then through being powerful in her actions and always creating new content, new material, new connections for us, teaching us all, learning new things constantly, and then freeing us all to use these principles and to find our own purpose within teaching and using these skills out in the world. So I just want to acknowledge you for how humble you are and all the changes that I've seen you go through to grow and expand this community for all of us. And I'm so very grateful for you and how you've coached me personally as a teacher and as a business person. And thank you so much. Oh, that was weird. So 1 second, I don't know quite what happened. That is weird. Hang on 1 second.
Melanie, you want to hop in while she's
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, I don't know what's, oh, here, I'm going to click here. So something, oh, got it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can still hear you.
Sorry, I don't know quite what happened there. So basically the first, Melanie's going to go over strength, and I'm going to go over finding that feminine receptivity. And once you find that in your own self, you can open to your own GPS, your own wisdom, your own support, receive support, and give support to others, which we have to a mom, a doula. We have people here live that understand this principle. Put on your own oxygen mask first to basically allow for that greater flow to come in, which gives you everything that you need to support yourself and then others. So I'm just going to do a quick practice. Obviously, the anchor point for that feminine flow, that pranic flow for us is the breath, receiving, opening. So if your legs are crossed, uncross them, please put your feet on the ground. I'm sitting on one of these lovely balls. That's my jam. Body doesn't love chairs. Great for birth and labor also, since we're speaking into how we can open up our femininity and our receptivity for during labor. This is a great tool. So just dropping in for a moment throughout all space and time, closing your eyes, envisioning us in the same room together and receiving. Open up your arms and your hands. So we're in the middle of a Lionsgate portal. So realizing there's a bigger gate for us to walk through right now, a new moon, new energy, and taking a breath into this new energy. And just exhale out your day through your mouth. Breathing in again, feeling your body expand in all 4 directions. Then exhale, releasing. Feeling more opening, more receptivity, more breath, more peace. Big breath in. Let it out again, make a noise. Good stuff to do during birth, obviously. Last one together. Be comfortable with making noise and taking up space. One more breath in, big inhale. And then we're gonna do the lion's breath. Getting rid of anything that's blocking a greater flow, greater receptivity, greater feminine flow inside of yourself. Last breath, biggest breath of the day together. Big inhale. One more lion's breath. Perfect. And then coming back. So whether you want to stand up for receptivity and for finding that greater flow of spaciousness, that nurturing power in yourself, either standing in a squat with your feet apart doing circles or sitting on a ball. This is magic during labor. The pelvis and the body get so much nutritive flow, oxygen flow, blood flow. So if you want to stand, you're welcome to stand. I'm sitting on this ball. If we were in a hospital situation and progressing, we could just take the hospital bed and put it up and lie forward, still be on the monitor, and just keep rocking and rolling here and keep tapping into the part of ourself, tapping into those 3 R's, to the receptivity of allowing for all sensations, just allowing, letting yourself become a noodle and opening your body, feeling that flow, being reversible into the divine flow and just letting whatever happens, happens. Feeling that relational support to community and other people, asking for what you need, making noise, taking up space, whatever that is for you. So just feeling how you can just do this within yourself, feeling the synovial fluid in your joints, feeling the feminine openness in your body, and feeling how this does add a little bit of play also, which is really important. Cool. And then coming back to center. And that is a really lovely, so this could be the hospital bed. She could have a pillow and she could rest in between contractions and then just breathe and relax everything in her body. Someone could be massaging or giving her a nice hip squeeze here. That's just a little quickie there about how to bring in that feminine receptivity and a little bit of play. And I just wanted to introduce my work wife and one of my best friends I could ever ask for in my life, Melanie, who definitely is strong, definitely is feminine, and has taught me so much about how to be receptive and how to be relational in a community and in myself, and has added and opened up her home for our community to come and meet as doulas and to share with each other and share food with each other. And that's everything for me. And I appreciate you so much. I love teaching with you. So here she is. She's going to go over our
shucks.
she's gonna go over
It's
our
a love fest.
she's
I
gonna
love you
go
guys.
over she's gonna go over our second sacred step, which is strength.
Yeah. So, and also I want to thank you both, and Jessica and Rachel, because this is about community. And as teachers and as pregnant people, we need our community. And so thank you both for for being the source and the pillars for that, for all of us here with Ma Yoga. Okay, so I wanted to talk about sourcing your strength, being fierce. And I'm so inspired by my last 3 birth clients. And we were talking about this a little bit, but no matter what happens in your birth, if you don't feel that you've had some control, that you've had some say, then you go into your postpartum period stuck in what was instead of being present with your baby, right? So the more you can be in control, to source your strength, to speak for yourself, the better you will feel, regardless of whether or not you get an epidural, regardless of whether you're induced, any of those things, so long as you feel that you are empowered and part of this journey and you're participating in your birth experience, the better you will feel. And so there is strength in saying yes. And there is strength in saying no. All of them. There is, so 2 of my clients had epidurals, 1 did not. One of these clients, that if you were to meet her, you would think that she is meek. And she is the sweetest, most lovely person in the world. But she said, no, I am not okay with that. I am not willing to do that. And all of them said yes or no to things based on their intuition. And to trust what you know takes strength. And especially when you're in an experience where there's all these people around you that are the supposed experts and that they know what is best for you, to still be able to say, yes, I'm okay with that, or no, I am not okay with that. And the cool thing about these 3 births, which we don't get to see a whole lot, I mean, it happens for sure, but not as much in a hospital birth, is to see these women pushing instinctively. Nobody told them how to do it. Nobody needed to tell them how to do it. They trusted their bodies enough. They were connected to themselves enough to go into that part of themselves and to allow that to direct their pushing journey, which kind of makes hospitals lose their minds because they want to control how you do everything. They want to control and tell you how to push. They want to control what position you're in, how to breathe, how not. And they were, all 3 of them, completely intuitive. And they had the strength to be in that space and to just go there. And it was like, no, I'm doing this. And it was so exciting to watch and to witness. And so with that, not that you would be doing Utkatasana in labor, but the yoga of birth does have a lot of the poses that we go into on what you would do prenatally that you can also do in labor. But Utkatasana, fierce pose, is a great way to source your strength. So if y'all want to join me here, and I'm going to use a block. And I happen to like using the block for pregnancy. And so you are going to put the block between your legs. And I want you to think of rooting the inner thighs back. And as you root the inner thighs back, I'm sorry, I'm going to drop this down some more. right? You're going to root the inner thighs back, and there's a slight internal rotation. Then when you tuck the tail, there's space from the sacrum. I want you to root your feet into the floor and drop back, keeping the length in the spine. Try not to let the knees go forward. Keep the knees, think of the shins going back in the space. And if you can't go super low, that's okay. It's better that you are keeping the alignment. And I also like to take the heels of my hands and press them into my thighs to get more extension in the spine and more space in the front body here. Then you want to think of hugging the ribs together, right? So there's a whole lot of things going on. Now you can keep your hands to your heart if you want, or you can bring your arms up overhead, either way. But what we're looking for in pregnancy is always having the maximum amount of space in the front body and holding this and squeezing. And there's a reason why this is called Utkatasana, because it takes a lot of strength. That's why it's called fierce pose. And to be in this and to hold this and letting this be a part of who you are and part of your practice will come to serve you when you need it in your labor practice. All right, so I'm going to come to stand. And for those who have had a baby and have felt good about it, one of the main things is that you felt in control of the things you can be in control over. And that's what's really important. And for those of you who generally have not had the best experience because things were taken from you and you didn't have a say. And so it's really important to keep your autonomy and trust your instincts. Yes, Jessica.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And maybe we can just take a pause for a moment because you guys both have just brought so much. And if anyone has a question, we can just hop in. But I am so curious about these three birthing people. And what do you think made the difference for them that they were able to find that strength to say no and yes and to trust their instincts, which, like you said, I think it's the hardest thing. And like one person was saying before we started, that she wished she listened to that inner voice, right? And it's almost like the only time we really have those regrets is when we knew but so was it that they practiced Utkatasana before? Was it because you were there, so you were holding the space and reminding them of their strength? What do you think it was?
It's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, whether it was me or another doula, but I think what really helped these women was they had a support team and their partners understood. And we, when I work with my clients prenatally, we have the conversations and we do the poses that we teach in the yoga of birth. But to understand and that the partners are also on board with knowing and supporting each birthing person in making those choices as they come up, and to be able to say, wait, I need more information, or wait, I don't understand this, right? And whether it's me or Rachel or another doula in the room, and if you choose to go on that path, that's one of the great things that you get to offer your students and your clients is to bear witness. So I think it does make a difference whenever there is someone there to bear witness. People will behave differently because there is an extra set of eyes on them. I hope that answers that. And then they also just, came to it on their own, which was just beautiful to see, because not all clients do.
It really does answer it beautifully because there are so many aspects to it. And you're right, it's complex. It's not one thing, but and obviously the support really helps. But I think that's something that we don't pay enough attention to, that aspect of being witnessed, making us better, inspiring us to find our highest power and deepest wisdom. I know, like, when my husband and I have something very difficult to talk about, we record it. We have never listened to a recording before, but it just makes us very conscious of staying really calm and listening. So anyway, I've never thought of that in terms of the doula being present, but thank you. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I have to say that's pretty much the feedback from my last birth, was at that moment where the nurse tried to take her power, even though nothing was wrong, and said, well, you want to push at 0 station because you could hemorrhage. And she's like, I'm like, I just looked at her and said exactly that as a witness. Do you feel the urge? Do you want to push right now? What do you want to do? No. What do you want? What do you need? I need to rest. Okay, great. Then you'll rest. And just at that moment, just brought it back to her. It's her birth. What was being said was unnecessary, completely untrue. And it was someone stealing her power, stealing her moment, stealing her birth. And that is challenging and sad. And but however, that's the moment she took her power, and same thing, pushed her baby out the way she wanted to, despite how this nurse wanted to use fear to control her, which seems very strange to me. Which leads me into play, which I find, Melanie, you also probably will agree with this, that play is such an important part. For me, those moments in birth where the partners are smiling and laughing at each other, even though things are could be heavy at moments, and that there's laughter, and there's that. It's important to have. I mean, you named your daughter Leela. Clearly, you understand the need for play, and the medical system as well as the room can be lack of that. But at my last birth, I came in, and when I was there with her, there was a couch, and she was on the couch. This is the back of the couch on her ball, and in labor, and that's where we were laboring. And she put her leg here, and she's doing all this stuff. And so the doctor comes in, and it's like, where's the patient? And she's like, oh, she's on the couch, and she's naked, and she's doing her thing. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, wow, you're doing great. Okay, cool. And then she's like, well, doctor, in between contractions, she's like, do I need to know anything? And she goes, no. The doctor knew me. She goes, she'll tell you everything you need to know. That's great. I'll see you later. You're doing great. Just left. But I love that, like, she was expected to be on the bed, and of course wasn't. And then the doctor's like, oh, of course she's done surgery. Of course she's not on the bed. Yeah, you're great. Whatever. I know her. So it was, however, the nursery got was the opposite. The nurse was like, I want everything to be that I want it to be, not this is your birth and I'm here to serve you. Right. So going back to play and how the utilization of bringing your own ball, a lot of hospitals do not provide them. They might provide a peanut ball. Is super helpful. And she was not attracted because the bed does have a split in it. It's not super comfortable. She wanted to be on the couch. And the couch was a great place for her. And I always bring knee pads. So she also had some knee pads down. And she was super happy here until, like about 8 centimeters dilated. I ended up putting a Chuck's pad. Things got messy, whatever, around there. We'd go to the bathroom in between. And she was really, really just happy here. This was just her jam. So for a lot of people, you can also push your baby out. This could be the back of the hospital bed. So utilizing the ball can be super helpful. And if you didn't want to use this for pushing, this could be the back of the hospital bed. And the person can lean over there and also push that way, and or something kind of like that on all fours as well. And some people also like to be in different positions. So adding play and adding movement and laughter and joy. Yeah, it's the completion of who you are in the physical form of this life. And there should be some joy and some magic in there too, along with the intensity and everything else. And I love that that's one of the principles. I just said to one of my clients who found out her baby was breech and was really uptight, I was like, all right, enough doing. Have some sex. Have some fun. You're working really hard at work. You're trying to have your work baby. You're trying to finish everything. You need to play. What do you want to do? I mean, she used to drink. She's like, I'd love to have a margarita. I'm like, besides that, like, what can you do to play? And so her husband's like, I got this. So they played in the pool and they went and did all sorts of stuff. And she went to go see Dr. Berlin and now her baby's not breech. But I truly think a lot of it is that pranic flow of that energy of if you're all tightened up, of course that energy is going to be going the wrong direction for the space in your body to make space for you and for your baby. And that play is a big part of that. And oftentimes even just shaking your body lets out tension. And it's important, even just, I think in my prenatal classes, just having people shake the fascia and shake their body and even just shake their own booty, believe it or not, releases a lot of tension out of the pelvis. So even as teachers, having people, one of the spinning babies moves is to playfully lean over one side and another, and then also kind of just shake your butt around. Believe it or not, there's a lot of said tension from driving and being seated that if we use play, we can just get all of that out and we don't have to re-experience it in our mind and in ourself. We can just let it out. It's kind of like we watch our pets. You just work through energy in their body and release it through play. So Melanie, do you find also that when you see people utilizing play that they have a lighter birth or that they can move energy in their body?
Absolutely. And, I think the shaking of the apples, which is the spinning babies, which is the partner is shaking your butt in labor, and it just gets everybody to laugh, right? It lightens the room. And that's nice. And of course, anytime you can get people up and dancing, even just being silly and not, like, oh, I've got to look a certain way, but to just, let it loose, it just totally changes everything in the room. So totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm going to jump in too. In yoga, and especially like in the yoga of healing, we're always talking about the 4 different levels, right, of embodiment. And it just reminds me how it's all connected, right? So we have physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. And like just something as simple as play. It's like Rachel gave this instruction, go play in the pool or whatever. So total mental, emotional. But what's happening is energy moves in certain directions in the body. And instead of, as you described, instead of lifting upward, it's beginning to settle downward, ground down. That's where we want baby's head, right? So it's sort of like a current of energy for baby to support baby in that. There's a physical change, right? And literally the muscles and the fascia, which are gripping, are now released. There's more space in the back of the pelvis, which is how baby gets in there. And then on that 4th level, spiritual, it might even have been an incredible healing moment for her, right? She was so, it wasn't just work and everything that was stressing her out, right? And so realizing that despite all of the conditions and the challenges we're experiencing, we can let go and connect with the play of the universe can be really profound.
Yeah, all the koshas, all the different energy bodies need to be taken care of. And that's why the system of yoga and these principles is really, truly, it seems so simple, but it takes care of all those different energetic parts of us that all kind of need care, that are maybe our interaction with technology and a job doesn't clearly, is kind of like the opposite frequency, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes also, we have these healing moments, right? But it's just on this one level. I get that a lot because I work with people in pain. And so they have this spiritual moment, like up on a mountain or something. And they're like, my back pain totally went away. But it's like, okay, you got the spiritual, but we got to deal with the physical because you're sitting all day long. And so, there's just a physicality of the body that we need to address too. So it sounds like you guys are very much doing all of it all the time. And even just the way that you express these 3 practices, you can see that they're physical, but they're also all of the other things. You can't really
Well, and depending upon the client, like I knew this client's comfort level And the other thing that really worked with this nurse who, was not on our team, and I asked her, I said, do you want to switch? But I know who the charge nurse is, and I don't know if it would be any better, and they're really busy. It's a full moon. I don't know what you want to do. Maybe we'll just stick this out. I'll let you decide. And she's like, we'll just stick it out. So then I I had these amazing frequencies on, binaural frequencies. I was doing energy work. I also then said, do you want me to do you want me to call on your ancestors at Shabbat? She was Jewish. And she said, yeah, great. It's a full moon at Shabbat. And I'm called in the four corners. I called in all of her ancestors. I called in all the ancestral wisdom and her and, all this stuff. And sure enough, that nurse disappeared and it just got out of that space. It's just, too much, healing energy, too much the opposite of the medical system to be involved. I turned everything down. I turned the lights down, let her have a rest. And then she pushed her baby out. I was like, is this what you want? You want to listen to a meditation? You want to, set your intention? You want to get all your stuff together and then let me know when you're ready. It was great. And let her decide when she was ready and her body was ready instead of someone forcing her or telling her or whatever. But for her, she felt like she also needed to connect exactly that to that spiritual component because she knows there's an unseen force that can support her that she felt disconnected from within the medical system and in that environment. And we just kind of flipped the switch on that and brought it back to that for her, that inner part of herself that she knows the cells of her body know what to do and that she could trust that and relax into that place.
Yeah.
Instead of being taken out of it, being told something was wrong when there was absolutely nothing wrong. So that was really a nice switch to, depending upon the comfort level of your client, Colleen. I don't know if you've supported people that are more open to whatever they want to call it, source or God or God or whatever, or just their own ancestral wisdom in their body. But Melanie, do you agree that can be helpful to remind people to either talk to their baby? They forget they're having a baby. Everything's so intense. It's I was talking to the baby and I was like, you're perfect, you're healthy, everything's great, because you're always the lens is always that there's something wrong or that you need help, or just to remind that everything's perfect as it should be. Do you ever do that, Melanie?
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing is you've done all the work before. And then once you go into labor and you get into where you're birthing, you have to trust and let it go and allow the process to unfold. Because if you're stuck up in here, and it's not going to work. And you and your baby are a team. And, talking to your baby and helping the client connect internally is going to allow her to source whatever it is she needs for this to unfold.
Yeah, so I could keep going forever, but I want to also respect people's time. You guys just totally brought it. Thank you. If anyone has a question, you are welcome to unmute or just put it in the chat. And I do want to kind of go over what's coming up for us. So Melanie and Rachel are starting the yoga birth on August 7th. So coming up very soon here. It's Wednesdays and Saturdays for 3 weeks. And it is part of the My Yoga Prenatal Certification Program. So if you're wanting to get certified, it is a great place to start. It's like just jumping right into the center of it all. And yeah, if you're not wanting to get certified, it's still just a really beautiful course to have. We've had a lot of doulas take it, a lot of RNs, anybody who kind of just wants to add a lot of tools to your tool bag for labor support. And if you have any questions about certification or this course or any content, now's the time.
Just wanted to mention we've also had people that maybe similarly to Brittany did not have the medical system exactly provide for them what they needed, and to work through that within yourself to take your power back. And then, Brittany's already a very successful teacher in her area, to have that innate, confidence to guide other people through prenatally, and then to take that into her next birth, because of course she wants to have another child, and to being her own complete wisdom and power in a way that is what she really wants. So some people have taken the course that also just within their own selves did not have an ideal birth and had some trauma that they wanted to work through, and using the breath practices and taking all the time out of your busy life and being a mom to self-reflect and work within yourself, and slow down what you went through, and then also kind of what you need in place of that. Would you agree, Melanie? It's been helpful for people.
Yeah, I have a teacher who she didn't even know she had birth trauma, and when she took this class, it was just so deeply healing for her, because she'd been busy blaming herself for things like for years. So yeah, and then I also have heard people say that as a yoga teacher, one of the biggest things they learned from taking this is the way that Melanie and Rachelle create a safe space, as Rachel likes to say, to empty your basket. And this is, as a yoga teacher, it's a really important skill, I think, to develop, is just how to create the community feel, like how to make people feel really good opening up. We meet live on Zoom. There's 4 different trainings, and the only one that I don't teach is this one coming up, the yoga of birth with these guys. And so that would be the first one, the yoga of birth. And then we have the yoga of pregnancy. So that they're all 3 weeks, twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. But you can also do them on video if you can't make it. So we have a lot of doulas who think they can make it and then they can't. So you'll get an email in the evening saying, the videos are ready, so you can actually stay with us. You have a few days to watch it, which is the easiest way to do it instead of waiting. Some people try to do it all self-paced, but it does kind of pile up, and then it becomes like, oh, another thing you have to do. So it's a lot more fun if you can stay with us, even if you can't come live. The yoga pregnancy, we go through the trimesters, addressing all the physiological and psychological changes with yoga, how to adjust regular yoga poses, how to create specific prenatal sequences and classes and inspiring prenatal themes. Then we go into the yoga of healing. So there's a lot of postpartum healing in that, but also our principles are actually universal. So the basic principles we are founded in the 5 natural elements, and space, earth, water, fire, and air. And it becomes a guide, but we're going to go really specific in the yoga of healing into using them on a biomechanical level to help, especially our mamas with wrist pain, elbow pain, ankle pain, because of the pregnancy hormones. There's a lot of instability in all the joints. So, but, who hasn't ever had those things, right? So as a regular yoga teacher, you'll end up using these principles for everybody: back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, how to use the yoga to help people out of pain, instead of like being like, oh, well, maybe just don't do that pose or whatever, And then the last one is my Ayurveda. This is the off the mat self-care, daily rhythm, and food as medicines, especially for pregnancy, postpartum, kids, and colds. And it's a really fun one because every week we try some new self-care practices like coconut oil massage or neti pot, those sorts of things. There's a mentorship that you do. So we hook you up one-on-one with one of our senior teachers, and she'll, after the first 2, after the yoga pregnancy and the yoga of healing, she'll help you kind of integrate it into your teaching and your voice. And there's a lot of information, so you might feel a little overwhelmed. So you practice teaching, she gives you some feedback, you do it again. That's your mentorship. And after your mentorship, you can even apply to start teaching on our platform, because Yoga Alliance requires 30 hours for your RPYT. So you can kind of go right in instead of building it up and getting nervous. You can start teaching right away in a really supportive environment. And I'm there for you to help you, and just kind of get there. We only have 1 or 2 mamas who come to our Zoom classes, so it's a really nice way to start. So that's the whole program. So if you do feel drawn to this program and you want to get certified this year, starting with the yoga of birth, it would be a really wonderful foundation, but also it gives you plenty of time to finish. There's some other things, some class visits and stuff. So you would definitely have time to finish by the end of 2024. Generally, you have a year from the the first day of your first live training. And I do that really for you guys, because it used to be 3 years and then people would just let it drag on and on. So if you do, especially if you are a mom and you get pregnant in the middle or whatever, you can always at the end ask for an extension. So and then in terms of cost, the cheapest way to do it is to pay in advance for the whole program. It's $12.97, and then you also get 6 months free mom membership. So that's My Yoga Anytime, and we have our new app out, so you can get it on your phone. So there's over 400 prenatal and mom classes, and also weekly alignment therapy drop-ins with me. So if you have aches and pains, or you just have questions about how to a student, or how to apply some of what you're learning, you can drop in and I give you the video so you can keep doing the practice. Anyway, a ton of member stuff. So that's if you pay in advance, like if you want to get certified. And then there's also a payment plan of 4 payments of $357, and that's still fairly inexpensive. So with the $12.97, you're getting $100 off of each training. The $357, you're getting a little less off, maybe like $75. And if you pay as you go, like you just do the yoga of birth, and then maybe next February you do the yoga pregnancy, that's fine. It's just a little bit more you'll be paying. In September, we have our national campaign called Momathon, and so we're asking yoga teachers to offer a donation-based class, any kind, anywhere. We will celebrate you on the website and give you a graphic to share, but basically that's to raise money for scholarships. Actually, I just found out that our fiscal sponsor only gives us the payment quarterly, so we wouldn't have that until January. But even if you don't, we're probably only going to have like 5, and honestly, they're probably going to go to BIPOC teachers, because that's really the mission. But if you have a vision, an intention of starting a Ma Circle in an underserved area, some of the money would go toward props for you, and also potentially a stipend to be able to offer free classes to those in need. So some of the scholarship, the bulk of it is actually after the training. All right, my dears, thank you all so much. Melanie and Rachel, thank you for bringing this goddess feminine energy to us and just kind of letting it flow. It's just beautiful. And also, if you have questions, feel free to respond to an email and we can set up a call. I build in a dreams and visions call, I call it, with, basically as part of what I do. I like to get to know the people who end up taking the training, so don't feel bad about wanting to talk through anything. All right, very good. All right, we'll see you soon.